If you've made your way to this video, then you're likely a golf coach that's looking to transition from in-person lessons only to having a thriving online golf coaching business. And that's exactly what we're going to go over in this video. But some quick things before we dive in. If you're not a golf coach and you're not interested in transitioning online, then you can click off of this video right now because it's ultimately not for you. This is exactly the steps that I would take inside of a golf coaching business to make the transition, to get out of grinding day in and day out on the range every single day in person and actually build a thriving online coaching business. So we're gonna do that now. And as you can see here, it's the online golf coach roadmap to hitting 6 figures a year in profit. So not just top line revenue, but actual profit take home for you as a golf coach and doing it from an online golf coaching business. So you're gonna go from a golf coach that's exhausted, that's spending tons of time every single day and every single week, fulfilling in person with clients with seemingly no way out, no other opportunity or option that you can dive into, a different alternative to making money. And we're going to go instead to a coach, much like Happy Gilmore here. You're going to be excited about the possibility and the opportunity to actually make money in the online setting. It's going to open up time freedom. It's going to open up financial freedom. It's going to allow you to do the things that you actually want to inside of your life, reinvigorate the passion for golf coaching and helping golfers actually get better at the game. And it's going to allow you to do that without being physically tied to a single location. So it opens up a lot of things. It opens up your life, your business, and the ability to help more golfers all over the world actually get better at the game of golf. So let's go ahead and dive in. Inside of this roadmap, we're going to cover and go over how to build an irresistible online coaching offer. So this is one of the biggest transition questions that we get. One of the biggest things that holds golf coaches back is not understanding how to craft an offer for the online space. What does it look like? What do I charge? What are the deliverables? What is the access to me? How do I actually structure this program or offer so that golfers can understand it, they intuitively know why it's valuable, and they're willing to invest in it. It all starts with an amazing offer. We're going to cover that. We're going to talk about the simple social authority flywheel, which is a way of using social media to build your personal brand and authority in the golf space online and become a desired coach that people will ultimately seek out to work with you and pay top dollar to work with you. So we're going to cover that in depth inside of this training as well. And we're going to talk a bit about how you actually structure the deliverables of your program in the online setting. That's the hybrid lesson model. It allows for a combination of face-to-face time with a client, but also asynchronous or not relying on being face-to-face delivery of the product that makes it a bit more scalable, a bit more leverageable when it comes to your time. So let's go ahead and dive in. Big reasons why you might watch this training. So if you're with me still to this point and you want to just make sure this is a good fit for you, the reasons that you want to stick around and watch this is if you are a golf coach that's only in person and has no idea how to transition online, I'm going to show you the most effective strategy today to be able to do that. How do you build a name for yourself in the online setting? How do you find golfers outside of your local area that you can ultimately help get better at the game? And how do you grow and make money instead of trading your time for dollars in person? The common mistakes that we see all the time with golfers is the only opportunity or option that they see in the online space is organic social media content. So you turn to apps like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, whatever other platform you might be into, and you start to make content. And typically the content that we see, it's very generic. It's just like every other coach that's out there. You're doing swing tips and swing videos, and then some short clips of maybe your clients who have been successful. The problem is that it's extremely generic. It looks just like every other coach that is out there, and it's a very slow process. So if you started doing this, you understand that just posting online and hoping for growth isn't really a business strategy. It doesn't allow you to consistently bring in new clients and ultimately generate the revenue that you want to make inside of your business online. The other mistakes is going to platforms like Skillest. Not a bad thing. Skillest is actually a great platform for delivery. It really helps for you to facilitate the communication with a client, and it does a lot to streamline that process. But what it is not great for is an actual marketplace for coaches to find clients and ultimately make the money that they want. There's a small fraction of coaches on that platform that will actually be successful because if you think about it, there's thousands of coaches there. And the only way to distinguish yourself is to rank higher. And usually to rank higher, the things that you have to do include, discounting your services or prices so that you can get more people through the door and ultimately get more reviews. But it's not necessarily a sustainable business model because, again, you have to go to discounting and it's about a volume play rather than a quality play. We really want the right golfers to work with you for an extended period of time so they actually transform their game rather than just one-off lessons or sessions where you give them one simple tip, but they don't actually have the time to execute on that or develop the skill that you've given them to play better golf. And ultimately, while Skillest is a great platform for delivery, it's not a great platform for making sales. If you have experienced this or thrown your profile up and put up your prices and hoped that because you did that, you would all of a sudden be flooded with clients, you realize that this really isn't the case. In order to make it into the top 5, you have to work really, really hard, and it's very challenging to displace the people that are already there. The other thing that we see as a big common mistake is that the only way that golf coaches know how to ultimately get clients is by being on the range at a golf course, going out and talking to people, and then offering their services one-on-one in that setting. It's a great place to get started. I think any coach, if you are newer, you need to kind of cut your chops and get used to helping people in that in-person scenario first, like spend lots of hours on the range actually developing golfers. But once you have that skill set and that ability to recognize trends and patterns and actually improve people's swings and games through the process of coaching them, then it becomes much more scalable and a higher leverage deliverable to move to the online setting. You can help more golfers across the entire world, and you can actually help them in a way that they prefer to be helped, which not every golfer wants to show up to the range every single week. They don't necessarily have the time, but they may be able to do other things in between those sessions. Or if they did those sessions more infrequently, there's other ways we can help them improve in between. And that's a great coaching relationship to have. So we're going to talk a bit about that in this lesson as well. So diving in, one of the core pillars to what we discuss is coming up with your online coaching offer. An offer is just the way that you package your program in the online setting. It's the classic, I will help this person do this in this amount of time using this system. So when it comes to golf coaching, really the things that you want to understand about your offer is what is the problem that you're ultimately solving. The biggest thing is that you want to be super detailed and niche down, however you specifically say the word. You want to niche down in who you're actually helping and the problem that you're solving for them. You want to be able to clearly articulate it in the language that the golfer would use. So if they're saying to themselves, I want to play better golf, well, what does that actually mean? That's not a tangible outcome that they can experience or feel. And are you solving that specific problem very uniquely in a different way maybe than they have before in the past? You need to be able to understand that problem, articulate it back to the golfer in the way that they would say it. And you want a specific, tangible problem that you're solving that you can point to and you can detail with numbers and exact details of what that problem is. The promise that you're ultimately going to give to this golfer is extremely important in your offer as well. What is the promise? Right? We want to be clear, not clever. So specific outcomes, that could be 10 shots, decrease your handicap by 10 shots in the next 10 weeks. Very specific, very tangible, very clear, right? Specific outcomes, again, using time and using numbers as an example that I just said. You want to think about time and strokes off of their handicap, or if you're not necessarily focused on score per se, there might be another tangible aspect of their game that you can improve. Something specific as hit the ball 10 yards longer. Right? That might be something desirable for your specific golfer that you help, is to actually help them hit the ball 15 yards farther, 25 yards farther, whatever that number is. Maybe that's a desirable outcome that they have. It's very specific. Now we need to put a time on it in the next 4 months. Add 25 yards to your drive so that you can shoot lower scores. Because we know hitting the ball longer allows people to shoot better scores. Then the other thing that you really want to understand is where are they now and where do they want to be? Not where you want them to be, but where do they want to be and how are they articulating that? So you want to be able to speak to where they are now and ultimately the dream state of where they're going to be. The other thing that we need to understand inside of an offer is pricing is very important. I am a fan of weekly pricing because it's the lowest price for them to get started now outside of just buying a one-off session from you, which I would not recommend doing because there's no commitment to them actually getting better at the game of golf. You can also do monthly packs as well if you prefer monthly billing, but for me, weekly is the best option here. And then not using sessions any longer because sessions, there's a few problems with sessions. One is you can't be certain when they're actually going to use those sessions. They're ultimately just paying for an hour of your time, which, it might not be a bad bolt-on the end, but we want to get a recurring base revenue coming in from our clients that has a certain set of deliverables and an outcome that we can get people to. Because the reality is, if someone buys one session, or even if they buy 10 sessions, it's very hard to guarantee any kind of outcome in their performance or their play over the course of 10 sessions. You could try to do some sort of diagnostic process and then guess, okay, I think we need 10 sessions together in order for you to ultimately get to your goal. But the problem is they never use those sessions in the timeline that you originally thought they were going to. You planned on meeting once a week, but life gets in the way. Holidays, they're just busy, whatever, they travel, they get sick, all these different things come up. And then those 10 sessions we plan on using in the next 10 weeks takes 20 weeks for them to actually use. And because of that, because there's no other pieces to this package other than buy my time to do some sessions with me, they ultimately don't improve as much as they could have. And it took twice as long just because life got in the way. So it's much better to set them up on a plan that allows for them to get access to you through recurring weekly and monthly packages that gives a level access to you where you can coach them continuously to improve their game week over week, month after month, to get to the end state that they desire. The other thing that we want to always consider here is we want to discuss the bigger picture or plan and then understand how long it's going to take for them to achieve that, roughly based on your experience in the past. Which the reality is playing better golf takes time. Improvements or changes to your swing, they take a lot of time. And if you want these things to set in and ultimately stick with you season over season and see consistent improvement over time, you need to commit to a longer process. And we need that transformation in their game. And that's going to take place over many months, if not years. And so they need to probably be working with a coach for longer than just 8 sessions randomly off the bat. Now, if they're a really beginner golfer and they're terrible at the game, yeah, you can do 1 session with them and see some market improvement in the way that they make contact with the ball, which ultimately will show up on the course. But the reality is most golfers don't just want to stop there. They want to continually progress and play better golf over time. So let's align our offer and what we're doing with that end state or that goal for them. The other thing that weekly pricing does, which I'm a big fan of, it's the lowest get started now pricing model. It's the lowest number that you can put in front of them other than buying a one-off session. But if we structure it as $50 a week, that's over $200 a month that they're paying you because every month has 4.3 weeks in it. No month is exactly 4 weeks except for February, not a leap year. So we can get them to pay $50 a week for some combination of a number of face-to-face sessions plus access to us to submit swing videos or other videos of drills or just other feedback that they might want from us as a coach, depending on what they're working on in their game at that time. And $50 is a very easy and low number to say yes to get started. And they can start the plan, they can begin working with you, they can see what it's like, they can see improvements in their game, and it's a very easy continuation over time. The other thing to consider about this model or this offer and packaging this as a combination of in-person and online or face-to-face and asynchronous or not relying on, syncing up your schedules. The thing to consider with this is actually cheaper for the golfer. So most coaches, I've seen anywhere from $50, some even lower, but anywhere from $50 all the way up to $200+ for a single session. If you are going to meet with a coach 4 times a month, that could be anywhere from $200 all the way up to $800 for the month. So relatively expensive, especially if you're working with a high quality coach that charges over $100 per session. It can get pretty expensive pretty quickly. And that is one of the reasons you might lose the relationship with the golfer, is because they don't necessarily have the budget to pay $400, $800 a month to meet with you in person that consistently. So they'll naturally try to stretch that session pack length out over time. And basically they think they're getting more for their money when in reality they're not. This is actually a better model for the golfer as well too, because they get a coach in their back pocket that can help them continually develop without having to pay that super high ticket price of actually using your time in person. Now they can get the feedback, they can get the interaction, the engagement, and the tips to improve for a better price for them, which ultimately, we've seen coaches between the $200 and $400 price point work really well here for a combination of some face-to-face sessions, whether that's in person or FaceTime or Zoom, and then a combination of access for submitting stuff on a weekly basis for feedback. Some bonuses here inside of your offer, which is really crucial to being able to package this, position it, and sell it in the online setting, is you want to give your product or service a name. Unique and catchy names, they work, they sell. It's just a good idea. You want to have a combination of this being understandable for what it actually delivers for the person. So it's like a practical name, where this is an example, Scratch Golf Solution. It's just a catchy and practical name. They understand what they're getting out of it. You're going to teach them how to play scratch golf. Now, the other piece of this is you want it to be unique to the type of golfer you're trying to work with. A 30 handicapper just starting the game who's not very good, they're so far away from playing scratch golf that the Scratch Golf Solution will probably not appeal to them. But if you specialize in helping single digit handicaps get to scratch, then this would be a great product or service and positioning of your offer to be able to attract that specific person. So you're thinking about, how do I make this catchy, but also speak to the tangible outcome or result that the person I'm seeking to work with actually wants. The other things that you want to consider in an offer that are extremely important: scarcity and urgency around what you're selling. Right? So if you're just open to everybody all the time, there's no reason for them to buy right now. Where if you can have true scarcity and urgency inside of your packages, if you can understand supply and demand and how that actually works from a pricing and actually a purchasing standpoint, then you'll be able to be what's called oversubscribed. So you'll always have more people interested in working with you than you can actually take on. That's the place that you want to be, because when you have that in your business, you never need anything, you never want for anything. There's always a line out the door asking to work with you as a coach. Now, that all starts with you setting the correct supply and demand. This needs to be true urgency and scarcity. Can't be fabricated or made up. It can the first time, but when people realize that it's not true, that spreads. People start to understand that. So you want to have supply and demand control. The way that you do that is by limiting spots to your program. So you're not open all the time, and you can't just take everybody all at once. So think about this strategically for you. How many people do you want to work with or onboard at any single time? How many people can you facilitate in your model of a combination of face-to-face and feedback and swing submissions? Think about that, and then set the amount that you can take on and facilitate at a high level. An example might be, I know if I take more than 5 golfers any single month, I get overwhelmed and I can't deliver at the highest level that I want to, because every new golfer that comes on, we do a full in-depth swing analysis the first week. Then from there, we're going to meet 2 other times in that first month, face-to-face. And there's more service on the front end, just getting someone established, helping to understand their limitations and the big priorities inside of their game. And then after that, it goes into more continuity. It's a little bit more fluid. It's a little bit stabler and easier to facilitate. And then that opens me up to then the next one, take on 5 more. So you want to set that. You want to know where that number is. You want to be honest and genuine based on the capacity that you actually have. And if it's true, then the capacity will change month over month, depending on different factors. Right? So if you started with 5 the first month because you knew that's how many you could take and facilitate at a high level, the second month, you're going to reassess and decide, can I take on 5 more? Or am I still very busy with my combination of in-person and these new 5 online where I only want to take on 3? Totally fine, because it's true scarcity. That's actually very believable, and it works from a marketing standpoint. When you go out and say, I only have 3 spots available this month, because you believe in a high level of service for your clients. So when you do that, and when you're honest about how many people you can facilitate at any one time, this is where you can create the demand. You can become oversubscribed. You can have people waiting for the next time that you open up spots to work with you. The other thing is to have specific dates around specific programs or launches, or when you decide to open these things up. So you can create wait lists around when you're going to open up your packages or programs, or you can do specific programs at specific times of year. And so we're about to go into the off season for most golfers around the world, not everywhere, but a lot of places around the world are going into a golf off season now, if you're in a colder climate at all. And with that being said, you could run a specific program that is a off-season related program that doesn't rely on the golfer having to be able to show up at the course or to play, but it's a great time for them to improve. And you can have a start date to fill those initial spots, right? You could set it at, I'm going to work with 10 golfers this off-season to actually improve and not only maintain their golf skill and ability, but actually lower their handicap during the off-season, even without being able to play golf. That would be amazing. And then you could take on 10 for the next 4 months. And throughout the winter, should you see that you could take on more or help more people, or some people fall off and opens up some spots, then you can put those out there as an opportunity for people. The other thing, I'm not a big fan of discounting your services and your prices. So instead of discounting, it's a better idea, in my opinion, to add bonuses on. So if someone decides to jump on this offer or opportunity at a specific time, you're going to have bonus add-ons of, we do in-person workshops quarterly. If you jump into this program, what I'm going to do is you're going to get first access to any one of those and a discount to any one of those in-person workshops. Amazing. That's a great bonus. If you have other things that you could give them in the bonus, you could give them additional one-on-one time as a one-off bonus for maybe incentivizing an early sign-up. You could give them bonuses of PDFs, videos, guides, resources, connections, whatever you might have. They could get bonuses in that way on top of this offer to make it more enticing for them. The other thing to just consider here, and something that maybe you haven't heard of before, which is that small promises are easier to keep. So the example I was using earlier, it is very hard to sell a brand new golfer that maybe is like a 30 handicap. They're just really not very good at the game, It's really hard to sell that person on becoming scratch. And that is such a long process. It seems so far away that if you try to sell them on that, unlikely that they're going to have confidence or belief in their ability to actually get there. No matter how good of a coach you are, it's just too far of a gap. It'd be much easier to sell them on some other short-term goal, a smaller promise, which might be like, hey, brand new golfers just getting into this game. Most of the time you struggle with just making clean or pure contact and being able to find your ball the majority of the round. So here's what we're going to work on inside of this program. We're going to help brand new golfers make solid contact on demand more consistently every single time, not lose 5 to 10 golf balls a round, keep the ball in play, and drop your score by 5 to 10 shots in the next 4 months through our XYZ system. It's a super clear and small promise for them. Make better contact, keep the ball in play, and 5 to 10 shots better. And you might even want to just go with 5 shots better in the next 3 to 4 months. The other thing that most coaches don't consider in the online space or just the golf space in general is building a community around what you do, who you are, the values you stand behind as a golf coach, the way that you see the game, the way that you think people should play the game, the way that you think people should improve in the game. It doesn't necessarily have to be a certain type of like swing concept. Like you don't have to be a stack and tilt coach. You don't have to be a golf machine person. You can if you are that and you believe in those things, like yes, be that, talk about it. But you want to just set up a community around your ideas and beliefs around the game of golf and how people actually get better, how they enjoy playing, how to think about improving your philosophies and strategies and who you are, your experience, your values, all that stuff. You want to create a community around those things. This helps in many ways. It helps to keep people longer. It helps to get them to interact or engage with each other rather than just with you. It's so many positives to actually have community that you have built inside of the game of golf around you, what you teach and what you do. The other big things that I want to cover here inside of breaking down your program is you want to define your program and have certain phases that you can point to within your program, what people can expect when they come to work with you. And you don't have to have necessarily 3 phases. 3 phases just works really well. It is easy for people to understand and wrap their head around. This is just an example, but you want to think for you, what are your phases? How do you help people get better? And you might be asking like, well, how am I supposed to apply this strategy to a vast array of golfers that all have different issues, that are all starting at a different point? And that's sort of the thing that I'm trying to illustrate or illuminate here, is that if you're trying to work with every single golfer, you're not going to be the best at helping any of them. You really should think about how you can serve one specific type of golfer above every other coach. And an easy way to think about that is through coming up with the phases of your program, really breaking it down and having a sequential nature that not everyone's going to start at over here at 0. Not everyone's going to start there, but they're going to start at different places along here. And you as a coach then just get to guide them wherever they are starting through these different phases. And ultimately, at the end of it, there's an outcome that every one of the golfers you work with is going towards. In this example, the outcome of this type of golfer is the scratch skill set. So this would be wanting to work with someone that ideally wants to get to be playing scratch. And that doesn't necessarily have to be defined in a specific time period. Getting to scratch may take for somebody, 12 months. For another, it might take 5 years. But all of the golfers you work with desire that. They want to be a scratch golfer. They may start at different places, but in general, the things that you work through with them is first, you're going to talk to them about the strategy of the game, right? The quickest win that we can get for a golfer is usually just change the way that they think about playing the game. It's understanding their strengths, maximizing those, and then limiting their weaknesses. And so people like Scott Fawcett talk a lot about this, Martin Brody, understanding strokes gained and just understanding golf strategy. One of the quickest ways to help somebody drop their scores and play better golf. So that might be your first phase. Is a lot of it is this discussion on like, this is what we have right now. Let's look to maximize what we have right now. Then after we do that, we move into the second phase, which is going into the mechanics of the golf swing. We know that process is going to take longer. Obviously, it depends on what stage they're coming to you at, but typically changes in the golf swing, because we're dealing with movement and motor patterns that have been ingrained over thousands and thousands of reps. They're going to take time to improve and cement and solidify, and they're always going to need refinement. But maybe that's phase 2, is you work at actually changing swing mechanics to help better develop the consistency of the golfer, so that over time, as you get a fundamentally sound swing and solid, consistent contact, then you move into the last phase, which is the scratch skill set. So then it's rounding out the game. Then it's understanding very deeply strokes gained. Like, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And what are we missing inside of our game to ultimately play scratch golf? And then, so that's the final encapsulating piece of your program. This is just an example, but it's really important to think about your program this way. Who are you helping? What's the outcome they're going to? And how do we build the roadmap to getting them there? Pillar number 2, all of that was just pillar number 1 inside of our offer. But pillar number 2 is understanding how to bring in prospects or potential opportunities in the online or virtual world. We all probably understand on some level how to do that in person, right? Depending on where you are working, whether it's out of a facility or at a golf course, usually just by having golfers in your local area, people that are coming to the course or they know the facility is there, they'll walk in the doors seeking out a coach to work with to help them get better at the game. In the online setting, because there's thousands of golf coaches all putting out content, and it's a bit messy, it's a bit noisy, it's harder to get seen and to ultimately find clients there. We need a system of attracting them and ultimately bringing them from awareness to becoming clients. So this is just a broad overview of a very basic and simple funnel. You hear a lot of online business owners and marketers talking about this, which is understanding that it's just easier to conceptualize understanding this if we draw it in a picture like this in a funnel. Really what you're thinking about is that the top piece, right? Top of funnel is just awareness. How are we using the platforms that are available to us to go out and find new potential prospects who might be interested in what we are selling? And typically these platforms include Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube Shorts. Those are usually the short form content platforms. You might use Twitter or X here too, not written, but you might use that. So these are the short form content platforms. These are great for awareness. They allow for our stuff to be seen by more people. So if you're on those platforms, 100% stay consistent with them. You don't have to be on all of them. I actually recommend picking 1, maybe 2 that you want to specialize in. And my preference for most golf coaches is that Instagram tends to be one of the best places. TikTok is great right now too. Organic reach will be better on TikTok right now. Instagram is just a classic for golf coaches to see success. A lot of golfers go there to watch swing videos, watch tips, watch all those things. But any of these short form platforms can work for your awareness, your top of funnel. We are just trying to get eyeballs here. We're trying to find people that would be interested in what we do as a coach. The thing that is crucial, this is where most coaches stop. They just put out content on these platforms and then they hope that people find them and then apply or buy through an app like Skillest. So instead of just throwing stuff out there and hoping, the post and hope approach to bringing on new clients and having no control, no consistency to what you're doing, you want to be able to strategically bring people through these different phases. So the next phase, which you may or may not have, right? It's the middle of funnel and it's the connection stage. It's where people ultimately get to know you as a person and as a coach in the online setting, build the trust, build the desire to ultimately work with you. So it's a key phase. And you see some coaches doing this very well. It's a lot of the YouTube golf coaches that you've seen online that have built a huge subscriber pool there. They've built a lot of relationships with people in the YouTube space, but YouTube's not the only platform. It's a great one because obviously in golf, being able to not only speak about concepts, but show them actually happening, show your lessons, show the things that you're speaking about, and do that at depth to go a bit deeper than the short form content. That's really the goal here of this stage. It's nurturing the opportunities from top of funnel through a long form content strategy, just longer pieces of content, because short form 60-second reels or tweets or short written posts, they don't build a relationship with somebody. They get people intrigued or interested, right? So you see me doing this right now. I have a Instagram account, which is my primary short form platform. I run ads to that to get golf coaches to follow me. Then videos like this show my entire process, like what I'm doing, how I help, how I serve, and builds a lot of relationship, trust, buy-in. You get to know me in this. You get to see me speak. You get to see my body language, see what I understand about golf, that I'm actually a golf fan, that I play the game. I enjoy it. I'm a golf nerd. You get to know me a bit better, understand, know, like, trust, and ultimately that helps to bring more people to ultimately the bottom, which is the sales conversation, which is an intimate conversation. Most of these are going to be one-on-one. But in this middle funnel, going back to it real quick, you want to be able to put out consistent, longer form content on a platform like YouTube, a podcast, and email. You always want to collect email addresses. This is just great for business in general. This is the only list that you actually own. So if you're relying on something like Instagram and YouTube, what you can't control Granted, this usually doesn't happen in the golf space, but you never know. You can't fully control this. If they decided to shut down your account and ban you from those platforms for whatever reason, even if it was just a glitch in the system, you now no longer have a list. You don't have a business or an opportunity to put what you do in front of people and ultimately bring on new clients. So you always want to be building an email list, always. But that doesn't mean it has to be your main platform for nurturing people. You might be great on video. You might enjoy video and YouTube and sharing stuff there. So you can 100% do that. A podcast would work as well, even though I think the most effective as a golf coach will be showing your skills in the act of demonstration through YouTube. Although there are some amazing podcasts that are really successful in this space as well, and they do a lot to nurture and build a relationship with someone to ultimately buy from you there as well too. That's the whole goal of this middle of funnel. This step is to build connection with your audience and bring them closer to you. Then from there, it becomes extremely easy to transition people to a call or a direct message and to then give them an offer of becoming a client. You use the offer that we discussed above previously, and you just present to them, this is what I do. This is how I can help you. Would you like to do that? And thinking about this is how I would pick a golf coach. And I actually am in the process of doing that. But the way that I would pick is based on who I felt most connected to from a social media standpoint. And so there's golf coaches that I follow their short form content on Instagram. Then if I like them, I will also follow them on YouTube and I'll watch them in lessons. I'll watch the things that they talk about. I'll watch the tips that they give to people, their strategies, their philosophies, their ideas about the game. And I'll just also get to know their personalities, see who I resonate most with. And if I'm picking a golf coach, I'm going to go to the one that resonates most deeply with me, or that solves a very specific problem that I'm having right now in my game. Right? And so for me, I'm a single digit handicap looking to go to scratch. So that's also going to allow me to then decide like which coaches work with that level of player, which coaches potentially work with college athletes or professional golfers. And that's going to appeal more to me because I think they have the skill set to allow me to get to my end goal. Right? And then through the process of these social media platforms, I get to know them. The ones that I like, that's the one I'm going to buy from. So moving on from there, the big question after seeing this funnel is how do we fill the funnel? How do we ultimately get more people to see our stuff top of funnel, then move to our long form content middle of funnel, to then trust in us enough to have a conversation about what we do and ultimately buying coaching from us, saying yes to our offer. And there's two big strategies that are out there. You've probably heard of both. Most of you have most likely tried organic and organic social media, and some have tried paid, probably not most of you to much success. So I'm going to talk about the difference between the two and why you might want to consider one over the other. So organic social media, we talked about these platforms previously, but they include TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, Twitter and X, or LinkedIn. Those are all top of funnel awareness platforms. You're going to go to post shorter form content that gains traction and awareness and potentially some virality. Although that's not necessarily what we're seeking here. TikTok is going to be the one with the most reach, and it's video-based, IG video-based, and likely has your audience. It has golfers already on there following other golf coaches. YouTube Shorts, it's video-based, also already has your audience, right? Because a lot of golfers go to YouTube for golf advice and golf tips, and that's a huge platform for golf. Facebook, it's video text. It probably has some of your audience there, although I don't think it's the best option for golf coaches today. Twitter and X, you certainly can use this. There are golfers there. There are golf coaches and golf personalities, I'll say, that do really well on Twitter and X. It's a great place to connect. It's a great place to network, and you can get a lot of growth there. And now they are implementing video-based components to Twitter and X as well. So that's a great platform there too. And LinkedIn, if you work with any kind of professionals, if that is your specialty, and to be honest, like a lot of professionals are the ones who are playing lots of golf, have the money to afford a golf coach, LinkedIn is a great place to consider here as well. The pros of social media content is that it doesn't take money to get started. You can go to any of these platforms, you can start a profile for free, and you can immediately start putting up content, connecting with people, reaching out. It's completely free, easy to access, easy to get started. The other pros is that you can build an asset. A lot of people think about audience as the new currency in 2023. So having an audience makes it so that you can always have a consistent feed of potential opportunities. So these are big pros to organic social media. And I highly recommend, no matter if you choose to do paid ads or not, you should always consistently put out organic content. It will pay off dividends over time by growing your brand, your personal brand, you as a coach. So I would be doing this regardless. The cons though of organic social media is that it's slow, it's uncontrollable, and it's unpredictable. So if you really want to grow a audience organically just by posting content, it's going to take time. You're going to have to commit to this for months, if not years, to really see the fruits of your labor. Totally cool. Totally a great way to go. It's just going to be slower. I'm okay with that method if that's the way that you want to go. But most coaches that I see want to be more successful, make more money a bit sooner, a bit faster. It's also uncontrollable and unpredictable because you just have to put up a video and hope that Instagram shows it to the right people at the right time. And that leads to more followers. But the problem with that is there's millions of people on social media, millions of people creating content and lots of content. So Instagram, Facebook, all the social platforms, they're having to make decisions based on their algorithms of what they show to who win. There's only so much space. So when we're thinking about that, it works. It's just going to take time and consistency and detaching from the outcome. It won't be the fastest path to getting where you want to go. So the other strategy that you can bolt on here, that you can add on top of organic that I think works amazingly well. If you're seeing this, this is probably how you found me because it's the fastest way to get your message out there, to find more of your ideal prospects and put your message in front of them and be able to attract them to what you do is paid ads. I'm going to teach briefly a method of using Instagram Boost where I think a lot of people are, but most platforms have paid ads of some kind. There's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's YouTube, there's Meta in general, which would be Facebook and Instagram, where you can run ads on all of these platforms. You can run ads on Google. Most platforms have the ability to run ads. The pros of using ads is that it's fast and it's controllable. So you're able to put your message in front of more people by just paying the platform to do so. So it gets you more reach in an instant just by putting some money behind it. It can also be controllable. If you understand the numbers behind it, you understand what you're doing, you can control that reach. So you can get feedback from the platform and optimize it to put it in front of the right people and attract the right people to what you do, and ultimately get a consistent stream of the right people to your profile and to you as a personal brand or a coach. The cons of using paid ads is the cost. Obviously, it costs money to play the game. The other is that it can be confusing, overwhelming. It's not super intuitive depending on the platform that you use. And so getting started and doing it the right way can be very challenging. I am a big fan of using paid ads to grow your social awareness, to grow your personal brand, to have you become known as a coach, because it just puts gasoline on the flame. There's a word of caution here that I do want to throw out. If you are not refined in your messaging, who you speak to, how you help golfers, the specific golfer that you do help, and you can't show that you can actually get results for them, then paying for ads is ultimately just going to show more of a bad thing to more people. You're going to be throwing money down the drain if you're not clear on your message and how you can serve. So that's paramount. That's a caveat to running paid ads. You have to know exactly who you are, who you serve, how you help them, what you do for golfers. If you know that, then using ads to reach more people is amazing. And that's the social authority flywheel, which I like and I'm using right now. It's boosting reels on Instagram or carousels to attract the exact golfer that you want to help and work with, talking about the specific outcome that you help them to achieve. They come to your profile, they follow you, you then get to have a conversation with them, they get to consume some of your content there. Then from that profile, you can collect their email and direct message with them to send them to your YouTube or podcast or wherever else you have long form content that you're creating a relationship for people, which might be something like a Facebook group or another group platform that you might use. And this creates this nice flywheel of, we have new people that come to our Instagram, we collect their email here, we then send them to our YouTube, or we send them straight from Instagram to our YouTube. They build more trust with us. Some people will immediately like what we're talking about, like what we do, be looking for a coach, and they'll buy right away. But others will just get trapped in this, and I say trapped in a good way, in this flywheel of people on our email list get emails from us consistently week over week. The emails then send them to some of our short form content. They send them to some of our long form content to nurture them, to build a relationship with them. Our short form content gets fueled by ads. Our short form content also sends them to our long form content where we build trust, where we can also collect emails. They all feed each other and build. And then inside of this, you're going to have a lot of prospects that vibe with you, that like the things that you're teaching, that like the results that you've gotten for your clients. That will be very easy to transition into direct message conversations and ultimately calls about what you do. In the golf space, you can 100% do sales calls if you want to close clients into your programs. But I think just as easy to be able to, and probably even optimized to be able to do direct messages to close people, close prospects on what you do. When you build enough authority as a coach, when your personal brand is on point as a coach, when they're bought into you, the results that you create and the system for delivery, they will just buy from in direct message. And just as an example of this, I recently just purchased a $3,500 2-day workshop with a coach that I follow. And I did it all through DMs and then text message because was already bought into him and what he did and how he could help me. So this is a social authority flywheel. This is ultimately what we want to set up inside of your business. You can consistently bring new prospects in and then nurture them to the point of sale. And then these sales are going to be easy. You're not gonna have to like hard close people on what you do. They already understand, they already want to work with you. The last piece and component is the hybrid lesson model. This is how we combine the best of both worlds of face-to-face interaction and then also asynchronous or not relying on being there at the same time, communication to develop a golfer and ultimately help them. So the traditional model is in-person lessons. So one-off sessions, it's really not helping anybody to do that because we know it's going to take more than that to ultimately improve to where they want to be to get the result that they're seeking. You can sell lesson packs, but they don't necessarily consistently use those in the time frame that you initially set out for them to use them in. And because of that, you get inconsistent results. They're also not outcome focused. They're selling time focused. You just pick an arbitrary, like I sell 10 session packs. That's just what I sell. And this is what it costs. Even though they may need less, they may need more than that. They may need a totally different service altogether. And it's just a straight time for money trade. This is what I'm willing to sit here with you for an hour to do. And this is how much it's going to cost. It's okay to still have this, but if that's your only model, it becomes very hard to get away from just constantly having to sell your time for money. And there's always a cap on what someone will be willing to pay for your time. And it doesn't allow for the freedom that ultimately most coaches desire. So the difference is in the hybrid lesson model, it's going to be usually a combination of in-person and virtual or all virtual. Both work. You can be fluid with them inside of your offer. You don't necessarily have to be strict one or the other. You totally could if you wanted to, but if you have someone that happens to be in your geographic location and they want a combination of in-person and online, totally cool. We can do that. It's an amazing way to position what you do, add more value, be able to actually help them get the results that they want, which is the big component of this is that the hybrid lesson model is outcome-based sales process. We're focused on the result that they ultimately want to get out of working with us, not on selling our time. And so it aligns what we do and what they actually want. And I'm a fan of weekly or monthly recurring revenue so that you can stack recurring revenue, have a consistent and predictable base to your business. And so we don't want the inconsistency of up and downs. I sold 10 session packs this month, so I crushed it. But next month, I didn't have anybody new come in, so I have no new money. And no one has finished using their 10 session packs yet. That inconsistency is a really hard place to be inside of our business. We want more consistent cash flow. So the other thing is stop trading time for money 101. You can do this. You can still have this option, but you're allowed to price your time at a premium and only sell it to the people that truly need it. And you see consistently coaches can charge $50 to $100 a week for a combination of swing reviews, improvement plans, and adjustments that are made and face-to-face sessions 1 to 2 times per month. So kind of wrapping this all up and just understanding how to piece these things together in a business model that allows for you to be a 6-figure profitable online golf coach that has the freedom to choose whether they want to do this in person or solely online or a combination of the two. The ability to travel, the ability to actually live your life, the ability to step away from the golf course time to time and not take a big hit inside of your business. What does that look like? The path to that, the math behind it. If you want to be a 6-figure coach, you need to make $8,333 per month. That puts you right at $100,000 per year. That's $1,923 per week at $50 a golfer. So if you're going to do $50 a week per golfer, you would need to sign up 39 golfers into your program to be able to accomplish that goal. If you were going to up your prices to $100 a week, you would only need 20 golfers to work with you at that price point to be able to hit your goal. Now, this is just straight up making 6 figures completely from this hybrid model. This does not include if you are still doing some in person, which I recommend that you still do that because you can't replace that face-to-face interaction and just contact with people. There's a power to being in person with people. And I think as a golf coach, it really helps to develop your skills, keep them sharp, but that doesn't have to be all that you do. So this math is not the reality of what it's actually going to look like. But if you went just straight to this model and only did it this way, this is the number of clients that you would need. to make 6 figures, you only need 20 golfers to work with you each month if you're doing $100 a week. It's kind of crazy to think about. You're probably doing upwards of that many sessions in 1 week right now. And I know some that are doing 30, 40, 50 hours a week of in-person lessons to try to make money. And this is just a different way that allows you to combine those two things, have the best of both worlds, still do some in-person sessions. Maybe that's you set the bar here. You get to choose how many you want to do. Maybe that's 10 a week, 2 a day, Monday through Friday, where if you were charging $100 per, cool. Now we got $1,000 per week made in person. Then if we combine that with putting 20 golfers in this hybrid model that are mostly online or even all online, they just do FaceTime and the interaction on a weekly basis to get feedback, then that would allow us to have the 1,000 from the in-person working only 10 hours a week in person, plus another 20 golfers online, where we can make an additional anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a week working with those additional golfers. This is a powerful model that allows you to only need 20 to 40 golfers to have a 6-figure golf coaching business that is not reliant on trading your time for money in person. That allows for location and time freedom and also financial freedom inside of doing the thing that you love and helping golfers get better at the game. That was a lot that we just discussed inside of this video. If you guys stuck around with me to this point, super excited that you were able to digest all of this. Hopefully you go take some of this and implement it and put it into practice. But if you're interested in learning more about how I work with golf coaches just like you to help them implement this system, to help them ultimately set up the social authority flywheel, to create an offer, and then to fill the funnel and have golfers reaching out to them, asking about the offer, and then the power of how you actually deliver that so it's a scalable model that doesn't require all of your time. If you're interested in learning exactly how I can help you implement these processes, install them in your business, then there's going to be a link attached to this video. Feel free to click that link, reach out, send me a DM on Instagram, or click that link and go ahead and book in a call. I'm happy to discuss how we can potentially implement this in your business, if it's even a good fit. And if it is, hopefully I'll talk to you soon. If not, I hope you found this video extremely helpful. Either way, gonna bring tons of value through this YouTube channel, through my Instagram, helping golf coaches to see a different way, a different path to success. If that resonates with you, if you like me as a person and you want to follow along, hit that subscribe button, follow me on Instagram. I'm here to help. I'm gonna put out more content and information. Feel free to reach out with any questions.